Welcome back to La La Land on CRN Digital Talk. I'm Brett Chapin. That's Daisy Egan. We're joined today by guest artistic director of the Pasadena Playhouse, Mr. Sheldon Epps. And if you have any questions for Sheldon, make sure you give us a call at 1-800-336-2225. 1-800-336-2225. This is your opportunity to speak to Sheldon Epps of the Pasadena Playhouse.
15 years at the Pasadena Playhouse.
That's right.
That is remarkable.
15 years in September.
That's incredible. Are you going to have a party of some kind?
I hope so. Are you throwing me one?
Sure.
Come on, Daisy. You can do it.
I totally am. It's gonna have a lot of Tootsie Rolls.
Good.
We got a shot of the Tootsie Rolls during the break.
Awesome.
By the way, yeah.
And I think I mentioned a couple weeks ago that I went to see The Heiress and
Yes.
really was blown away by it. It was a beautiful, beautiful production.
We're talking about that on the show, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
With Richard Chamberlain, which was a great thrill to have him at the theater.
I bet
One
it
of the
was.
nicest men I've ever met in my
Really?
life.
I bet he is. He seems like
he's one of those people who could get away with being a jerk because of everything he's done.
But
You'd say, oh, well, he's Richard Chamberlain, but nicest man in the world.
awesome.
Who's just about to do The Exorcist at the Geffen Playhouse.
Oh yeah, I read about that.
That's awesome.
That's pretty exciting.
That big of me to plug a production at another theater.
You're just selfless. And I think we're working on having Damaso Rodriguez,
Good.
director.
Yes,
Of the
I'm very
Heiress on
proud
the
of him.
show.
He's become a wonderful director.
The production was awesome. And you guys just announced your upcoming season.
We did. This is actually technically the end of the current season, the 11-12 season, and in 2 weeks, Jitney by August Wilson opens. And that's the end of the current season, and we have a couple of months off, and then we open in September with the world premiere of a new play written by the writers who created The Nanny and Who's
wow.
the Boss and
Okay.
lots of other things. Very, very, very funny play called Under My Skin, and then we're doing Intimate Apparel and Fallen Angels, and at long last, the musical version of Sleepless in Seattle.
That's exciting. Who's playing the Meg Ryan part? Daisy again. I'm sorry,
I
what?
think Meatloaf's daughter.
Nice.
Way to bring it back.
Jitney, is that the production that's currently at South Coast?
Right.
So it's like a little tour kind of
Well,
thing?
it's really just a co-production between the two of us.
Oh,
Actually,
great.
Sleepless in Seattle was supposed to be happening in that slot, and we moved it to next year to give it more development time. So I was like frantic to find something else, and I went to Mark Masterson, who is the new artistic director, and said, what if we collaborate on these two things? And he said, yeah, sure, fine, great.
how
So
great.
we're just moving up the whole production. And, it's kind of a trend, an economic but also artistic trend in the theater for theaters to share productions more. So it's a very, very good idea.
I think it's great.
Yeah. And, it's great for the actors because the actors get 5 or 6 more weeks to do the play, which means a check for 5 or 6 more weeks, but also more time to develop the work.
Sure, and those that don't want to drive all the way down to Costa Mesa. I love South Coast. I've worked there several times.
Oh, it's a
I love that
beautiful theater.
Yeah.
Beautiful theater. But
I
it
didn't
is
know
a
they
little
had
bit of a schlep
It
to
is.
get there.
I didn't know they had a new artistic director. I've been sort of out of the game.
Yes, Mark Masterson, who was the artistic director at Actors Theater of Louisville,
Awesome.
has come in, and David and Martin, who were the founders of the theater, are still there right now, but slowly sort of
Retiring.
phasing out. Yeah.
So how did you first become involved with the Pasadena Playhouse? You've been there since 97, you said?
I have, but people think I make up this story, but it's absolutely true. I saw my first professional production of any play at Pasadena Playhouse when I was 8 years old.
Oh,
Because I was born here in Los Angeles, and I lived here. And my father was a preacher, Presbyterian minister, and he really believed in arts and culture. So every week we would do something cultural, and we would go to the opera and go to concerts and all of that. And we got on the bus one Saturday morning and made the long trip from Compton to Pasadena. And you'll appreciate this, Daisy. I saw Ethel Waters.
oh my
the member of the wedding.
God. Oh my
One
God.
of the
That
last
just
times she
that
was on
literally
stage.
gave me
Yeah.
chills.
So I found out what a diva was at a
I
very
bet.
early age. Yeah.
Oh, that was
Very
my
cool.
mother's favorite play.
Was
and
it?
one of her wishes was for me to do that play.
Yeah, it's a wonderful play.
Yeah.
Wonderful
Oh
play.
God.
So that was my first connection with the theater, and then I came back here to direct as a freelance director in 1991, right before I went to the Old Globe. And I directed here several times during the time I was at the Old Globe, and then in '97 I was invited to come and be artistic director. And now I've spent the rest of my life.
You sat
here.
down and you will not
Yes.
get up. That's so
That's
awesome.
right. I'm going no, and I am telling you, I'm not going.
And you've seen some changes at the Pasadena Playhouse in your tenure. You know, I'm sure things have adjusted and changes. Can you talk about some of the changes and what
Sure.
you've brought to the table?
Well, I think number one, when I took the job, to be completely honest, the theater's artistic reputation wasn't all that wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
It was open, but it was concentrated mainly on survival, not really on artistic excellence. And I just felt that being right here in this great community with all of these wonderful actors, wonderful designers, if there was somebody who was just really focusing on the artistry of the theater, that it could change, you know. That
Taking
there were
it
lots
seriously.
of people here who came here, obviously, because they want to work in movies and TV, but they still have a passion for the theater. So if you just offered them opportunities that were really attractive, they'd be willing to come and work, and that is true. The other big change is that when I used to come as a freelance director and I'd sit in the beautiful courtyard in front of the theater, I would often be both the only person under 60 and the only person of any color. It was the oldest, whitest audience in America. And there are a lot of old white audiences in America, so it was, you know,
Talk about
it was
South
a
Coast rap.
problem. Yeah, it was a problem, and it scared me on two levels, just because it was such a non-diverse audience, but also because I knew that if we didn't start to attract young people, that audience was going to start to disappear. So I'm happy to say that, you know, it has changed through the work on the stage to become a very, very diverse theater, and I think that's a great accomplishment.
Fantastic. Guys, if you have any questions for Mr. Sheldon Epps, the artistic director of the Pasadena Playhouse, make sure you call us at 1-800-336-2225, 1-800-336-2225,
Or you can tweet us at La La Land Talk.
or you can email us at lalalandtalk@gmail.com. And we want to talk about the Tony Awards, too. Tony Awards tomorrow, right?
Tomorrow night.
Yeah.
At what time? Like, I don't
8
know,
o'clock?
1
9
p.m.?
o'clock, I think.
Yeah. We start the
Well, if you
pre-show
watch
early.
it live, very early. Yeah.
PasadenaPlayhouse.org.
Yes.
Okay. And we'll talk
our
about that
website.
more.
Yeah, definitely. We'll be back on La La Land with Brett and Daisy right here on CRN Digital Talk.